Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with some branded Dracotail. Actually my first play session with the deck since the ban list hits, and we're going to start going first game up against Kewl, the new deck on the block. This opening hand looks pretty solid. I'm actually going to lead with Normal Summon Cartesia instead of Lucius. If I open both of these cards, I tend to like Normal Summon Cartesia more for this exact interaction. If your Lucius Normal Summon gets hit with Valor or Imperm or Ash Blossom, in this scenario it can be really rough to recover. However, here I can simply use Cartesia's effect during my opponent's main phase and proceed to make more plays on their turn. They're going to go Normal Summon Kewl Q. I'm going to respond with the Cartesia. They're going to actually chain Super Poly, discarding Pot of Desires. I've seen some Kewl builds teching these cards, and Pot of Desires I'm a little bit more on board with because of how many 3-ofs you get to play in this deck. Super Poly I get because the extra deck's a little bit light, but I don't know. It's very much a going second card in this scenario, and it's a little bit niche for my taste. Also, it's not really compatible if you are locked into tuners, but that's not that difficult to play around, to be honest. But I don't think it's a terrible choice. I just would prefer to play more hand traps in Kewl Tune. It's just a preference, really, I think, at the end of the day. You can make arguments for both. But here, they're going to make Mud Dragon. I can still fuse into Arthelion. So they definitely should have waited on that Super Poly IMO. They're going to summon Rico from deck. We're going to go Arthelion, add back Cartesia and Lucius. Then I can go Pan Activate, which I'll use to pop the Rico here in a second. And Lucius can set a card as well. Pan is definitely the more important effect here, so I'll chain block it. Although, there's not too much that would interact with it that's affected by the chain link. Like, if they would have stopped Pan, it'd probably be with like a Call By or something. So Rico's going to get popped. It'll still resolve, but keeping a tuner off the board is so important when playing against Kewl Tune. Now they're going to get Rotor, which tells me they're going to get that extra Normal Summon effect, and indeed, here it is. They're going to reveal Mix, which is kind of fine, because now they have to search out a Rico, and now they have to make a 5. They can't make Track Maker, so it's not going to be that easy for them to extend into more plays here. They can, however, make the Remix, and then Mix pop Arthelion, while Rico pops the Ketu. Okay, so there goes those. However, during the battle phase, I can summon Magnum HUD here, stop them from dealing any damage to me, and get a search during the end phase. Gonna grab Malulu here. My plan is to use Malulu's negate effect on either Remix if they don't chain it, or RS if they go Remix to summon RS, is again, my plan. Draw for turn, find Perlia, whatever. It's a monster, so it's not that bad in that regard, I guess. I'm going to try to fuse with Rahu first, but they're going to have an Ash Blossom for it. It's a shame. If Rahu would have resolved, we could have just negated the Remix, because Malulu doesn't target when it negates. Instead, I'm going to Normal Summon Cartesia, fuse everything in hand in order to make the Arthelion, number 2. Now we can go Chainlink 1, Arthelion, Chainlink 2, Malulu. Chainlink 3 is going to be Arthelion in the graveyard to summon, and then we can go Chainlink 4, Lucius to block it all. They are going to chain the Remix here, but whatever they summon, I can just negate, so they end up adding back Effect Valor, which is a little bit unexpected. I thought they were going to try to set up the RS with Mix plus Recco here, but instead they're going to go Recco plus Rotary into Track Maker, and then having an Effect Valor as a backup negate in hand. I guess this gets them a Search plus negate instead of just a negate with RS, but I think they denied themselves the monster pop with Mix by doing that, which I don't think would have mattered that much here, but is worth noting. I'm just going to use Arthelion to add back a bunch of Dracotail monsters and gain a ton of advantage. Recco's going to pop the Sting. I really thought they were going to go for Ketu. I actually should have set 2 Ketu, because I thought that's where they were going to pop, but if they want to go for Sting, that's completely fine. Synchro is whatever. So the 2 cards in their hand are Effect Valor and Kewl Tune Synchro. I'm not concerned about either of those, especially because I have Flame. I'm going to use Ketu to add and then Fusion Summon into Golemel. Now Pan can pop as well as Golemel popping the Track Maker. Track Maker, by the way, did get negated by the Malulu. They can Valor Golemel, but it really doesn't matter. Pan can just pop Track Maker, and then I have Lethal on board. And they're going to concede before we can even destroy here. So yeah, I think that's a very good example of a game where Cartesia came in super clutch. And again, a prime example of why if I open Cartesia and Lucius, I'm always going to normal summon Cartesia pretty much every single time. Unless maybe I had like a Phimena in hand, then I might reconsider. But no, yeah, Cartesia is just such a powerful card for this deck. And now that there have been, the limits to Lucius, I think playing 3 Cartesia in the branded variant is pretty much a must at this point. I'll show you the deck list a little bit later on, but for now, let me show you some more games. Okay, I've actually got a couple of games going second against Hero. This is going to be the first of them. And let's see how we open. Obviously, we play a ton of hand traps, including but not limited to Phimena. Now, here's another game where I have to make a little bit of a decision, right? Just like last time I decided between Lucius and Cartesia, this time we have to decide between Fuwalos and Droll and Lockbird. Now, whether I activate, the Fuwa to draw more cards or the Droll to stop searching and draws entirely depends on the rest of my hand. With a second Fuwalos, I am a little bit tempted to just try to get a bunch of draws here. However, I'm actually going to end up firing off the Droll and Lockbird after they add off of Shadow Mist because of a couple of reasons. One, they added Miracle Ejector, which I know is only going to be able to get them more plays by searching a card. So now I'm forcing them to have plays with the other cards they opened with, which, especially in a 60-card deck, another factor for me, is a lot less likely. I also already have Phimena, so I don't really feel the need to draw off of Fuwalos. I can just Phimena and then go into Arthelion. Obviously using Lucius and any amount of my Fuwaloses will not only set up more plays for me later with Lucius, but then the Arthelion can just add Phimena and Lucius right on back to my hand, which will also enable more plays. So I don't think I need to draw cards here. I think stopping them from being able to do anything with Droll is a lot more important. They do have Ferris, which are going to special summon and then link into the Vert Anaconda. So now is the time to summon Arthelion, because I'm pretty sure Vert Anaconda is like one of the only ways they're going to be able to actually make plays here. We can even send away both of the Fuwaloses, so Arthelion can bounce Vert, add back Lucius and Phimena, and then again, Lucius also gets to set a card here. Lucius setting the Rahu, Arthelion bouncing, adding Lucius and Phimena. I set Rahu and not Ketu because I thought it would be pretty likely they wouldn't have a monster, but they are going to summon Miracle Ejector, then set a card and pass. They set it right across from Rahu, so I was like, okay, decent shot, it might be Imperm. I'll just flip up Rahu and see if it's Imperm. But they don't chain, so I'm going to fuse Urgola from deck with Phimena in hand in order to summon Golemel. And now Urgola is basically going to force them to activate the face down card or else it'll be destroyed. They end up chaining Favorite Contact, so they can fusion summon a hero. We'll cycle the Maxi and get a draw. No reason not to. Alright, they're going to fuse Miracle Ejector and Shadow Mist into the Elemental Hero... what is this one? Thunder Giant Voltic Thunder, which I did read before I started setting stuff. It's going to destroy all cards on the field as soon as this chain link resolves. But that's really all it's going to do, and after that they only have one card left in hand. So I'll set Ketu, and I end up setting Sting because that was the one I cared about the least. Also Ketu because I just have more copies in deck anyway. So yep, they can wipe my board. That's fine. We can still normal summon Lucius. Lucius add Phimena. Now we can use Urgola Engrave to get another Phimena for some more fusion material. I can activate Phimena fusing the Cartesia and Phimena that's in my hand, and go for Arthelion. I just summoned Lucius first just to see if this was a hand trap, mostly, but now we can go Arthelion, bounce the hero monster, add back Phimena, and then Arthelion and Golemel can summon themselves from the graveyard. And that'll be lethal. So, pretty easy stuff. And I am very glad I used Droll and not the Fuwaloses. I can see an argument for the Fuwaloses, but I just think it would have been really greedy to let them set up a board and try to get a bunch of draws off of it, when, again, I already have enough to stop them with Phimena and also set up a lot of plays on my turn. As you can see, more than enough to OTK. Well, pretty much exactly enough to OTK. And yeah, I just didn't want them to be able to set things up. I thought that was more important to stop them with Droll. So, very interesting another kind of split timeline decision there. But, like I said, I know they're going second game against Hero. Let's show that one. So this one's only going to be a one-turn replay, this going second against hero game, but there's going to be a lot of decision-making and turn 0 playing involved here, especially because we're going to have a lot of options because we opened the Fuwalos. I thought we opened Maxi as well, but I think we just draw it later. Are they really with the hero lives? This was another kind of like split timeline decision point of like, do I Fuwalos to get draws here, or do I Ash Blossom and try to just stop the play? Now, if I had another Dracotail monster alongside 5 mana, I think I actually might have been a lot more inclined to activate Ash Blossom here. But here, 5 mana doesn't get to fuse for anything, and I don't have a starter going into my turn. So I definitely want to draw some of those things, and that is why here we used Fuwalos. I think a lot of people, when it comes to like Fuwalos and hand traps in general, are kind of like blasé, like, oh, if you have them, you win. If you don't, you lose. But no, it's not just that. The order you use these hand traps in super duper matters. And that's the difference between like a good player and a great player, is knowing that difference. Okay, so we're going to set up the Miracle Ejector and Rhoda. I feel like they know I have an Ash Blossom and they're trying to bait it out. I might have let them see it with my reaction window. You know, when like the glowing light passes back over to you because you have a response, that whole thing. Normally, I try to toggle off a little bit and hide my hand traps, but I don't know. It doesn't super matter here. So I'm going to end up using the Ash Blossom on the Vision Hero Increase, because I know that Vion is a really important combo piece for the Hero deck. Or that it tends to be anyway. I don't know if it still is, but... Okay, here we find another Fuwalos. And yeah, look at that. Right after I negated Increase, they went straight into Shuffle for Stratos for Vion to Special Summon Vion. So I feel like if you can cut the hero deck off from Vion, it stops quite a bit. They don't get to set up Mally in the graveyard. They don't get to search up Polymerization. Alright, second Fuwalos has hit the board, and our opponent is going to commit. They're going to take the Fuwalos challenge. Going into Infernal Devicer, we now get 2 draws per special summon. There's a third Fuwalos, but of course you can only use 2 Mulch Armies per turn. So they get Neos. They're going to activate Polymerization. That's another 2 draws for us. Stratos plus Neos for favorite Flame Wingman. Or Flame Wingman Infernal Rage. That adds a favorite card. Right, that's how it goes. Just waiting for this Nibiru here. Honestly, I kind of have 2 waves of major disruption here. It's not just the Nibiru, but this Arthelion, with enough monsters in hand, is going to be really brutal, especially now that we have Pan. But there's no reason to nib just yet, when they have so many more summons. I mean, our opponent has not even used their normal summon yet. But of course they have this Polymerization that they're about to set off Wonder Driver. They have the Miracle Fusion they just added off of Sunrise. There's a lot they can do here. Alright, they're going to go Miracle Fusion, banishing Flame Wingman and Neos for Shining Neos Wingman. Now they're going to summon the Dusk Crow. Alright, and they're going to add Furnace. They're about to threaten to go into Dark Law, which is going to end up causing me to pull the trigger on Nibiru here. Yeah, they discard Furnace, activate Mask Change. This is where I'm going to Nibiru, because I really don't want Dark Law to start banishing cards. That's going to be really bad, and not let me resolve Dracotail effects. So we'll respond to the Mask Change with Nibiru, so Mask Change doesn't end up resolving. However, they still have that normal summon and that Polymerization, and now this draw. So I know they're not out of plays yet. They're going to throw down a Fusion Destiny, fusing Malicious from deck with Denier in hand to make the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. Alright, setting another card, then they're going to go Denier Effect. Put back Mally, now they can activate Malicious. Give us another 2 draws in order to link summon the Extra Hero Cross Crusader. Now, I'm actually kind of looking for my Bestial Magnum Hut at this point. It would be a really great way to counter the Phoenix Enforcer, but I'm still just kind of waiting for them to run their course before I throw out the Arthelion here with the 5 mana. Okay, there is Magnum Hut. And we also drew Maxi there as well. And they finally used their normal summon. And they're threatening to summon the Plasma. So this is when we need to find mana here for sure. They're going to chain Phoenix Enforcer, which is 100% fine. I don't care at all if they pop my Nibiru here. And we're going to fuse 6, I believe, here. Yeah, 6 monsters to make this Arthelian. That's a really cool effect. Although I think I only needed to do 5, because I am going to end up bouncing their whole board, but I could have used Pan to pop one of these. But yeah, 6 to bounce all 4, and then we also add back Maxi and Ash Blossom, because why not? And our opponent, kind of realizing how this is going to play out, just ends up conceding. I would have used Orgola. So they had 2 face-down cards. The middle one we know is Polymerization from Wonder Driver, and I'm suspecting this one they set here is probably the favorite contact. I think I would have used Orgola to pop the Polymerization, just trying to cut them off from any amount of plays they can make on this turn, and then obviously we would have Magnum Hut banished the Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, and then we would have just dealt with favorite contact on our turn. We would have had to put stuff back with the Fuwalos, but we would have had more than enough resources. We could have kept like Branded Fusion and this Call By. We probably would have kept Call By. We have that against the DPE as well. We have Cartesia. We have Hand Traps. We were just 5 mana. We're so ready to go. Okay, I think I have one more duel if I remember right to show you. So let's finish off with that one before you look at the deck list. And we're going to finish off with a mirror match, and we're going to be going second for this one. So definitely looking for 5 mana, obviously, and Hand Traps, obviously. Oh no, we're going first. My mistake. Sorry, I thought we were going second for this one. I think I might have... Hang on. Did I click on the wrong replay? No. I just misread. Okay. Alright, so for our final duel, it's going to be a mirror match. We're going to be going first for this one. So let's see how well we can open here. Okay, we have Malulu, we have Ketu. Albaz is in hand, but it's not that big of a deal. We're going to lead it with the Ketu. They're going to chain Ash Blossom here, stopping us from getting the search. I probably would have just grabbed Lucius here, although... No, I think I might have... I don't know what I would have grabbed here, actually. Because I think I wouldn't have normal summoned Lucius. I would have gone for Malulu. Well, no, we could have afforded to normal summon Lucius there, because we already had 5 mana in hand. There's a number of arguments you can make, honestly. But we're going to use Malulu to fuse with the 5 mana, and then summon Arthelian. That'll let us set the Rahu, then we can use 5 mana to set the Flame. Then we use Arthelian to add back the 5 mana. Now we can go Rahu, fuse with the Orgola in deck. Only going to get to set 1 here, though, because I already used 5 mana. And we're actually not even going to use 5 mana to fusion summon this turn. Going to use Orgola to set the Horn, and then Orgola's Graveyard effect in order to add back 5 mana. So, not the most robust Dracotail end board. I think I might have been able to make Vert Anaconda and do branded stuff, too. But I think I might have misplayed that a little bit. Either way, they're going to Super Poly my board away, which, for the Secretarian Dragon... This looks scary, but it's actually not going to really end up being that big of a deal if you think about it. Because we're going to normal summon Lucius, we'll chain Ash Blossom, and if they have Ketu or Rahu or whatever, we have Flame to just stop it. So there's not that much they can really threaten us with here. They're just going to have to link summon into Vert Anaconda, which is not only going to let us revive Arthelian and Golemel, but I can just use Horn to bounce this before it even gets to use its effect. So it's funny how, like... 0 to 100 to back to 0. Our opponent kind of went in this game, right? The Super Poly on our board was kind of scary, but then it kind of just really didn't end up amounting to much. Thanks to the Horn and our Ash Blossom stopping their Lucius. Yeah, normally I might have waited on the Ash Blossom, but because I had Flame face down already, it's like, okay, I'll Ash Blossom the monster effect of Lucius instead of waiting to use it against, like, Rahu or something, because I can just Flame if they end up having Ketu or Rahu anyway. I actually wonder if they did have, like, a Ketu in hand that they just held onto and never used because they knew I had Flame. I wonder. Anyway. That is going to do it for our gameplay. Let me show you the deck list, and then we will finish off here. Okay, so this is my current deck list for Branded Dracotail. Of course, my first list since both Lucius and Rahu have been limited. I've seen people add Alibur in some cases to Branded Dracotail specifically, because of course you can normal summon Alibur, add Branded Fusion, and that's full combo. Which I definitely don't think is bad. It's a good normal summon to replace Lucius. Like, yeah, you could argue Aliber is kind of weak to Valor, Imperm, and Ash Blossom, but, I mean, so is Lucius. So, it's really not that different in the grand scheme of things. However, here I decided to instead max out on Cartesia for one, which I do think is important. There's two different arts here, by the way, so that's why it's 2 and then 1, if you're kind of confused about that. But yeah, no, I think maxing out on Cartesia is very, very important now that all the other branded stuff is limited. In pure Dracotail, I think you always play to 3 Cartesia anyway, but even now in branded Dracotail, I really, really like playing a full playset. I think that does end up being pretty important. For the most part, though, I just added some more hand traps. I think I wasn't playing the effect Valors before. I think it was on 2 Urgola 1 pan, and I threw in a second pan, which I am very glad that I did. The other thing that I would kind of lean against as far as just replacing Lucius for Aliber is that will kind of cut into your overall Dracotail names. It is important to have a critical mass of not only monster cards in general, but also specifically ones with Dracotail in the name. Otherwise, 5 mana really doesn't end up being that useful. Like that one game where we Fuwalos because we only opened 5 mana and a bunch of hand traps, right? You gotta not only have the 5 mana, but you have to have the fusion materials to go with it. And if you just had Aliber, then you wouldn't be able to necessarily make anything, definitely not like your Arthelion, right? So that's why I put in a second pan. It's also nice just to be able to like pop more monsters, and I like it. I'm going to definitely continue to play 2 pan alongside 2 Urgola. I've even seen people on 3 of like one of these, and I don't blame them at all. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Again, just making sure that we have enough Dracotail names to be able to make plays, especially on turn 0, ends up being really important. The Mulch Armies are another pretty good contender. If you weren't already like maxed out on Fuwalos and or considering Perulia, you should definitely be doing those things now that there is a little bit more room in the main deck. But otherwise, I think this is like a very standard branded Dracotail list. No spicy tech, it's not really needed. I mean, it's just a very great down-to-earth deck, low to the ground, but still puts up a very threatening end board. And I mean, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Not always applicable, but I think in this case, it does tend to be. All right, I think it's going to go ahead and do it for now. Thank you, as always, for watching, especially towards the end of the video. It's a great way to support not just my channel, but other smaller YouTube channels watching the entire video. Definitely really appreciate that. Just means a lot personally as well that you are invested enough to do that. Thank you. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our outro so we can thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.